Hey guys, welcome to Seeking the Path. So I was in Cancun, as you know, and so normally when we go to Cancun, we would always, hit the beach, go to the pool, and we'd lay around. But now that I live in Arizona and we got a pool in the backyard, we're like, God, I don't want to waste my time at the pool. This is the first time we weren't going to the pool, and I told Deb we haven't been to the pool, so we only probably did about 4 hours of pool time. But the upside is we did all these other tours that we would have never been. We did a catamaran tour, we did a cave tour, and then what was really cool is because I like to photograph everything, so I was doing wildlife and birds. So we one day we did the golf course and saw some wildlife there, but we when we were in the resort, we were looking around for birds in the trees, and I said, "There's hardly any here, right?" So we signed up for a bird watching tour. The day before we did the cat. Get
That
this.
is something I would never do.
I
So
know
it's
it's crazy, right? But the day before we did the catamaran, I spent all day getting these great photographs of landscapes and sunset. I was all excited, and Deb goes, "Hey, look, there's a shipwreck on the side." So I was firing it, and then my SD card got full. So I'm like, and I would never do this and never do it again. I stuck it in my pocket, right? And I loaded it and I started shooting. I forgot that was my pocket, and because we wear the mask, I stuck the mask in my pocket too. So when I pulled out my mask, I probably dropped my SD card. I
oh
got
no.
home and I started looking. I go, "Where is it?" And I realized it. And all day long I had some great shots of just cool birds, the whole island, and I was like so depressed. And Deb goes, "You got to quit beating yourself up." I go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I had so many good shots on there." And so we had this bird watching tour. It was just Deb and I. Now the guy goes out. He's a really cool guy, Carlos, and he takes us out and he says, "Okay." He gets all excited. He goes, "Look, there's a whatever, an awesome bird," and I'll run over there with my camera. He goes, "12 o'clock, 50% down," and I'm like, and I can't see it, right? I'm like, where? And so he does it again, and I'm feeling like really stupid, like I can't see the bird. Where's he seeing? Deb and I both look, and I go, "I don't know, we can't see it." And so then he showed us a toucan bird, the Fruit Loop bird, and I was all excited because I did see it. And then as we got through the day, our eyes got better and better, so we started seeing these birds, right? So, but the cool thing is the next day in our resort, where we didn't see birds, all of a sudden we're like listening for bird sounds because he would go, what he did, he'd put his speaker, like he goes, "Oh, I hear it," like he'll like hear it and he'll say what the bird is, and then he goes like this, and he goes, he plays, he starts playing this, and he's got a speaker, and all of a sudden you see the bird flying around, getting closer, and he goes, "Okay, there's your shot," right? So I learned now I know how to call birds. I go, and because a lot of times I go out to do, I'm looking, but there's no birds nearby, and now they actually fly, and I'm taking my shot. So yeah, it was pretty cool, and I
I guess
never realized.
photos. I mean, I I don't know if I'd ever sign up for a bird watching, which is cool, but it's just not me.
I never thought I would, but honestly, it was a really cool experience, because you learn a lot about what I was talking to a friend of mine today. It's when you're photographing animals like that, it's kind of like mindful meditation because you're sort of you're focused, you're watching the animal behaviors and stuff that most people would never even realize it, right? So there's just the nature part of it it's very captivating. So Deb and I both were like, "Wow, that was an amazing tour." And I thought at first, like, okay, it's gonna be, oh, we're like bird watchers, right? But down there, the tropical birds, they're just amazing. The colors, it's so cool to see.
I have to tell you my bird experience. Not you mentioned it. Diana and I, we were in France, and my student, his name is Frank Lecoq. He's a police officer, and he's a police officer near Paris. But just outside Paris, there's a park called Puy de Fou. Puy de Fou, it means the well of crazy. Like I always laughed at it because fou, in if you're speaking French, fou means nuts, like kung fu means you're crazy, and so it's Puy de Fou is the well, like a well of water, the well of crazy. And when you go to this park, it's the best park I've ever been to. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's worth it to go just to France to go to this park. You can stay there. There's hotels and it's big. It's like Disneyland big, but there are no rides. You don't go on rides. It's almost. like those King Arthur's courts or something, but it's not just King Arthur. You go, there's live shows in every area you go to. Look this up on the internet, Pou de Fou. And they have like a Roman chariot gladiator type arena with the track and the horses, and it gets nuts. They got hyenas and they're running loose in there after people and stuff. It's crazy. Then they got almost like a Three Musketeer show. They've got I mean, there's all these brilliant, amazing shows. There's this one part where they have this like night, and it's Knights of the Round Table, but they have this one night going, oh, I'm sorry, it's like Westworld is what I was just told. And you're correct. It's like going to Westworld without you being killed. There's a show where literally the horse is on fire, which is nuts, and the guy's being dragged on fire, and you're just watching this all before your eyes play out. But let me get to the birds. So when we're going there, there's this big hot air balloon, and I thought, oh, it's out there just to show people where the park is. And when you go there, they have a bird show, and and okay, I've been Universal and they have a bird show, so they'll have a couple birds. It was nothing like that, Cliff. There had to be a couple hundred birds that they're releasing all at once. Everything from falcons to hawks to bald eagles to everything, and they're each performing at the end, like they call them out solo, and they do all these crazy feats, like they'll whip right past you like a falcon coming at 100 and some miles an hour zipping past you. But then at the end, they release all the birds, and they're not killing each other. They're all trained, and they're all whipping through the audience, and you're just being dive bombed on by all these birds. And I was just waiting to get pooped on, but that didn't happen, thank God. But it was the most amazing bird show I've ever been to. I mean, I think if I ever went back to Universal and watched their show, I'd be kind of bored after seeing what I just seen there. It just ruined every other show I'll ever see. It's brilliant, but Pou de Fou, it's worth going to.
Well, you know what I think it is, and it's the martial arts side of me that because people don't understand when you're capturing birds, sometimes they just land like 2 seconds. That's it. So you got to like quickly have your settings down, get in there and focus and shoot. And then if they take flight, you're like this. And so when you capture them, and I honestly think that
You got a real high frame rate to catch up, so you can catch them in blur, right?
my martial arts skill allows me to capture a lot of things that other people wouldn't be able to because you're like thinking really quick, changing settings and kind of already determining where they're going to hit and catch them in flight and freeze them because that's the challenge and that's what I like because then you get the shot and you go yes right and so I think it's not the bird
You're like a National Geographic photographer. You look what they might be going
right I mean a lot of people post something on but you look at it and they're not sharp photos so what I'm always trying to get is a photo that's sharp, the eyes sharp and all that. And that's the challenge. So it's not the birds, I think. It's more capturing something that was a challenging for you to hit it. You know what I mean? And then so when you get it, you're like, yes, right? Without actually having to kill an animal, you just captured them.
Yeah,
So
and I've been like you've seen they look like guns, but it's cameras. And it takes a picture of a bird instead of nailing it, but it shows like the sight on it, like oh, I would have killed it, but it's alive. That's kind of cool.
yeah.
I'm all for for preserving it. If you think back, my wife always talks about Bruce Lee, and one of the stories that she always remembers is he went out for a run. When he came back, he had a little bird that was injured, so it was like his mission to make sure that he got rehabilitated this thing where they could set it back free. And it stuck with her. She said it stuck with her, and I think all the kids, Brandon and stuff, of him just being that compassionate and saving some wildlife. So I think it's cool what you're doing.
Well, just to set that record straight, I am not a bird photographer. I'm a portrait photographer. I do badass pictures of people,
but it's an action move, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in flight. It's like capturing a person, jumping up and kicking, or some football player diving in the air to capture a football. I'm sure a lot of that reaction time probably is a crossover. Yeah. I've got a really amazing guy that I know, Diana and I. Well, actually, he's a student through the Inasano Academy. His name's Todd Bigelow, and he's a photographer for Sports Illustrated, and he's that guy. You'd probably get a lot out of him. He's a really cool guy, good martial artist, and just amazing photographer. If you've seen Sports Illustrated magazine, it's a lot of his work in there. He's been there forever with him. And I know it's a different reflex, and you're right. I never even thought about all the settings. I'm sure you could kind of guesstimate after a while of what you're going to be after and what you need.
I mean, if like if I'm shooting a jet that's big, I know like the shutter speed. I can pretty much do a 12, 1/1200th of a second. But if I'm doing a bird, if I go 2500, I'm pretty good that it's going to be sharp. If I go 2000, it could be iffy. Six, so that if I'm not doing a fast shutter speed, it's going to be a little blur. And then you're containing sometimes with light because the more shutter speed, then you got to go. Do I bump up my sensitivity on my sensor, which now you get more grain. So it's always this playing back and forth, trying to get the best optimized picture quality, but yet not sacrificing sharpness. So that's kind of the game that you're playing.
And, you know, the I always thought of still photography. A lot of still photographers become directors, or a lot of directors take still photography lessons just to know aperture and then, like just framing and stuff like that. And how much I had to learn. Like I've second unit directed a few movies, and I'll say my first couple, I was like totally not where I should be. I had no idea. And I can name stuff that was just embarrassing that I filmed. And it's in movies that have been out there. And I didn't know as much about lenses as I really got to learn because, sometimes the lens will crush everything. So remember in this one movie, I had a shootout scene and they're telling me, asking me what I want. And I told them. And then when we filmed it, we're already going. And I looked and I was like, oh, we'll see how it comes out in editing. And it's crushed so much. It looks like you're on one side of the car and I'm on the other side and we're just shooting at each other. It's just horrible. And if I would have known it to open up that lens and get some depth of field, it would have made it look like we were like not we, but like the two actors were having this shootout at a decent, it came out so bad just because I was ignorant to it.
Yeah.
And then it's like really unique. I found of using a wide angle versus, like fish eyes, everything else, because I could really soften the background and make that actor come in and really concentrate on him versus having just that whole almost like you're using a 50 where it's a normal depth of field and you're seeing everything in proportion the way you would with your normal eye, and just to get a bigger lens sometimes or even a smaller lens for the look that you want. Of what I've learned in my little time doing second unit directing, and I've got a handful of films that I've done now, and if you look at my first compared to my last, I cringe when I see the first one. So
Well, lens choice, I mean, that's the thing, even in portrait photography, right? I mean, generally the 50 to 135 lens, that is for portrait. And
right.
depending on the kind of, I like to do guys like dramatic portraits. I like to sometimes do like 24 to 35 because you see it's in your face kind of thing, right? And I get them up close. But if I'm doing a female, I'm getting an 85, 50, and it's also the height of the lens that makes them look, look leaner and so forth.
In filming a movie, you never want to get a standard view, and a lot of people do. It's like you want to see stuff from the view of something you've never seen. So I always try to either get up or get that, like we'll call them either a hero shot or cowboys and stuff, and you get it at an angle that an average human doesn't get to see that world from, and it just makes it more interesting for the eye. And then the whole thirds thing in film and where to put it, and then in film I've got to worry about, and I know this because this because you've been in film, is breaking a line. I have to know when I'm breaking a line and when I'm not. And if I do break it, it has to be justified. That's just all film speak. It's people can look it up if they want, breaking a line in film, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it changes everything, and it's just like there's times where I'll use like a 24, but I'll frame up from far away, and then I'll just zoom as much as I can to get that person. But what it does is it just makes everything in the background just super soft, and there's ways of just making a person feel soul in a world versus going in with say if you had a big lens anywhere from 80 to 100 or something like that, and you open it up and it just puts you in this almost like a picture. If you picture a city street, a New York street crowded with people, I'd rather soften up the world and zoom in on that one person to where everybody else is just a blur. But if you want to make it almost like they're in this world and they're congested and they're paranoia, you can make everybody else in focus and get a different reaction just out of the lens you use.
Right.
And I thought it was really interesting.
And
But
then add lighting, that. I mean, add lighting, you change it also.
yeah, you know what? I have a friend. His name is J.R. Benson. If you look at my book, the original cover, He's the African American guy punching down at my face when I'm on the ground. He's one of the best colorists in Hollywood. He's colored a lot of A-class movies and TV shows. I know. I don't know why. The only one I could think of that he did is Just Shoot or something with David Spade. He was the colorist for that, but tons of other shows too. But I went and seen the movie Sixth Sense with him. You know the movie with
Yeah.
um,
Bruce Willis.
I was trying to think of the director, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's watching the movie and he keeps whispering to me. He's going, "Whoever colored this movie, it's horrible." And he kept on saying, he goes, "Oh God, it's bad, it's bad." And then at the end of the movie, he goes, "Oh my God, that's brilliant." And what he realized is they off-colored Bruce Willis to make you feel a certain way. And he would see the right way because he's a colorist. And I wasn't picking up. And I'm like, "Oh, whatever, I'm watching the movie." And he kept on it was like he was irritated with it. And he went, "Oh my God, they off-colored him," because we all know Bruce Willis was dead. And he was this kind of, and he wanted to emit this horrible feeling, like, or just disturbing feeling. And they did it also through coloring that most people would never pick up on. So they were eliciting emotion by color, and they were doing it subconsciously, you know. And I thought it was brilliant. He thought it was brilliant at the end. He's like, awesome. He loved it when he realized Bruce Lee was dead, you know. But through the whole movie, he was whining, going, "Oh, this is so bad," you know. So, hey, anyway, I think it's time for what the.
Yeah. What the F? So hey, so here's one, and this will blow you away, because we had to cancel our trip to Hawaii last year because of COVID. So you know we got a whole year to reschedule it. So we said, okay, let's go in August. Things to be cleared up, right?
Mhm.
So I went. A friend of mine said, "Oh, you better." She says, "Cardinals are really going up." I said, "Really? I better jump on that. I'll get an early shot at it." So it's crazy. Like right now, it's about $300 a day. I mean, I think 12 days was going to cost me $2,400 to rent a car there, and that's the cheapest car I could find.
What would Uber cost? I would just Uber everywhere.
Well, that's what people are doing, but I mean, everyone's like jacking up. Even Uber. I mean, people can't get cars now. What they're doing is they're going to like budget rental moving things where they get vans for moving, and they're renting a van or a truck because you know. But you know what's happening now? They're jacking their prices up because they know that people are looking. So it's crazy, and it's not just in Hawaii; it's all over. Because what happened, I found out, is that especially in Maui and Oahu, where they're getting hit, all the car rentals, they just started selling off their fleet because they otherwise got maintenance and bills they're paying. So they just started dumping it. Now they open back up tourism, and now there's no cars. It's crazy. So they're just jacking up the prices like 4 or 5 times what you normally would pay.
Holy cow. I wouldn't do it. I don't know. I mean,
No, we're canceling our trip for two reasons. Number one, I was talking to a friend of mine, you know, who keeps in contact because she lived in Maui. But so the locals are starting to uh, almost harass tourists, and they get angry at them because they're blaming them for bringing in COVID. And Maui, all of a sudden, the COVID cases are just going back up again because they're blaming, you know, in fact, some tourists got in there and somehow they started spreading COVID. So we thought, you know, I don't want to even go there if it's going to be that situation again where, you know, you can't do anything anyway. So, yeah, we're going to cancel it. And who wants to pay that kind of money for a car rental?
you know what? If I were you, I would just try to rethink vacation and maybe not Hawaii and just try to.
Cancun, baby, I'm telling you. We get our membership down there. So generally our condo that we have, you know, we have a week use of it, but it costs us $3,500 maintenance fee because Hawaii is very expensive. All the grounds, everything they do to keep the up place, but then yet we can go to Cancun, and our membership there we only pay as we go. So $2,000 for a week, all inclusive for two people. You
Yeah.
get all the food, drink, you know, some extra tours and stuff like that. I mean,
One,
for
one place you won't catch me is on a cruise though.
yeah, no, I am not going to be stuck on a cruise if people get COVID.
Yeah, no, it's it's such a shame because I mean, when you told me like the car rental price, I went cruise. I went, ooh, no, no cruise, you know. But yeah, I guess Cancun, something like that, you know, something where you can kind of just roam the island or not the island, but just the coast. Or God, you go to Pudefu, go to France. I'm telling you, best vacation. You if you went to this place, you'd be hands down just jaw dropped at it. But if you want the beach, I guess you're right, Cancun, go to Bermuda.
And we're right. The property that we have down there at Palace Resorts, we love it. We stay at the Grand Moon. There's like 3 resorts within the resort. So I think there's a total of about 25 pools, 25 restaurants. So hey, if you're a friend of mine, I mean, if you know me or we talked and you want to get my member rate, just reach out to me and message me because we upped our membership so we can kind of share our rates with some of our friends and family. But I got only X amount of weeks that I can do that with. And of course, I'm saving one for you and Diana and Larry too. So yeah,
Yeah,
check it out. It's going to be an awesome experience when we go.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, we're done with Hawaii. It's just getting too expensive. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It's a shame because we were thinking of Hawaii. My thing pre-COVID, I had a couple $1,000s in tickets because of seminars that I already paid to the airlines. I never used it, and then I kept up on it. And they're like, "You didn't lose it. You didn't lose it." So we had thought, with that money, maybe we should just run to Hawaii. And now that you're saying this, it's kind of making me rethink it. And it's just I just can't see. And we go to Kauai, and I love Kauai, and but you kind of need a car. You have to have a car,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get trapped into
Well,
that.
a friend of mine, he's a wedding photographer. He works for a Japanese company, on Oahu. He hasn't worked since March of last year. He just says it's crazy the way that they're shutting things down. So, yeah, we decided, my wife and I talked about it. I go, with our maintenance fee and then we're in a car and then we can't even afford to go out to eat there anymore. We gotta go to Costco, buy food, bring it in and go, well, why don't we just go to all inclusive? We don't have to cook or anything. So it just makes sense. So, yep, we're giving it up.
Yeah, it's too bad. Martial art wise, what are you doing? You teaching?
Teaching. There goes her. Can you close my door, Dad, please? So yeah, my dog just jumped out. He's always in out, but he's going back out. So yeah, I'm teaching a couple times a week through Zoom. I'll probably start some more classes, and obviously I'm working with you to get our launch going.
And it's like I'm editing, and it's so funny because normally I whiz through editing, and I've been having so many computer glitches, and I've found that I've had to redo projects, so that's getting kind of a little frustrating, a little irritating. But I'm making it's just a little slowed down. But I've got more and more material ready for you. But teaching wise, teaching privates a lot because of the website and because of the privates on Zoom. It's forcing me even to get more organized, which I thought I was organized, and I realized I'm not really that organized, but I'm really, really starting to get everything together. I just put out a little teaser video. Have you seen it with the knife?
Yeah, I just saw that on Facebook this morning.
When I do knife stuff, I usually get thrashed. Somebody out there puts me in my place, like you can't get that in real life or whatever. But everything else, or everything so far that's coming, even on YouTube, where people could be really cruel, I've gotten overwhelmingly positive feedback from it. So they're liking it. So it made me feel a little bit better where I'm going. I think it's in the right track because I didn't get pounded on that bad. I didn't really get pounded on by this one. I'm waiting; it'll come. But if you guys, viewers out there, if you get a chance, go check it out. I did a little teaser of video that's coming out, and I just did it on knife stuff. But yeah, my butt's getting in gear. I'm kind of locking everything down way more than I've ever had it locked down because we're making this whole thing and we're trying to make it Zoom friendly, or not Zoom friendly, but just would you call it social media, or no, just online training friendly.
Yeah, well, we're taking online training to the next level,
Yeah.
and I think honestly, the pandemic made you sort of rethink things, and how people can learn. And at first, when I started teaching Zoom back in December, I was like, "Oh, is this going to work for my students?" But they love it. I mean, they're like, they'll go together and meet up at someone's garage, and then they're watching me, and I'm watching them. Like I told you once before in one of our podcasts, I'm a better instructor because I'm constantly watching and I'm giving everyone feedback, and I'm not taking my eyes off the screen. Where in the school, I'd teach technique and I'm talking to someone on the side or a parent comes up and I'm not really watching them. So now I get to really put my time into my students, and I think they realize that too. You
Yeah.
know,
Hey, I'm sitting there, I'm scouring around because I'm trying to just pull this stuff up for you. Um, I don't want to hold up our time getting stuff for you, but I'm going to pull up that video. I'll get it queued up when I let you know. I just want to play it for people to let them see what the heck you and I are talking about.
All right, so first, before I start, take a look at David. It's the new fashion statement, okay? The reason I have him doing this is if I'm doing a knife disarm drill and it keeps falling, I gotta keep picking it up, give it to him, he does it and it falls, and I'm repeating it over and over and over. Second reason I do it is if I do this and one of us picks up the knife, it gives me a chance to reset. What I want is I want a rapid fire thing to where it just forces a reactionary drill out of me. Okay, so we're gonna start off. I'm gonna do the first one slow, then we're gonna pick them up, and then I'll pick up the pace. So here, right here. So I'm gonna hit, grab, and I eject. So I hit the forearm, grab the pad of the thumb, eject the knife. Now let me explain this. If I stay straight forward, I might be able to do it punching hard. He could still get to me. Go hard, stab. I'm gonna try to stop it. See, it's still reaching me. If I go like that, I have a better chance of getting away. It doesn't mean I will get away, or I might mitigate the damage done. Versus it plunging straight in, it might just go through derma versus intestine, okay? So when we go, I want you to get used to a little turn. In fact, when you first start this, don't even strip, just turn, turn. Now, trust me, if there's a real knife, I'm probably gonna be going really fast. But right now, just burn this muscle into you. We call it a sister step, okay? So when we go one, I will grab the pad of the thumb. So the first is I want to shock the arm. If I go bang, I want to hit it, bang. Then I grab it, then I'm going to eject it. So he's going to come right away with the other. I drop it, grab, eject. Drop, grab, eject. Drop, grab, eject. Drop, grab, eject. So that's it. That's the drill, okay? So collect up the knives for me again. Okay, again, it's gonna shock it, grab, eject. Shock, grab, eject. That's it. So that's what I want. So if he has the knife, you shock it, grab, slide onto the pad of the thumb. My hand goes to the flat of the blade. Eject. Shock it, drag down to the flat. Okay, even if it were a double-edged knife, I still have no choice. He's painted me into a corner where I have to do this, right? So versus this getting stuck in me, I'm gonna shock it, grab, eject the knife.
So Ron, what was David wearing? I couldn't really tell. Was that like a little vest, or was that?
No. He just had all the knives tucked in his belt line. It looked like a big vest around
It
it.
looked like a vest or something he was pulling about.
So what was just cold steel rubber knives that I just shoved in all along his belt line. But like the first thing I wanted to comment on is I'm like, it's so breathy, but that mic is right there. So then I know I'm going to be breathy. So here's the problem. I'll hold my breath, which what does that do? It makes you want to breathe harder when you finally breathe. I go, oh, there's no way of winning in this. So I just, but everybody's like, oh my God, it's so, but it's just picking that up, which is a dilemma I've always had in filming, in filming this stuff. But, but if I do one knife, you'll get the strip and then you got to pick it up and it kind of, you don't get that urgency. You don't get that. It lets you reset. It's almost like I equate it to double Dutch, the rope skipping thing where people go, okay, and they jump in and then they jump out. This doesn't give you that break. You've got to react. You got to be there because the next one's coming right at you. And that's what I like about it. But this is only one small part of this massive drill I have. So I don't want people to think, oh, that's the only part to it. When the online training comes out, I haven't finished editing it, but I'm on part 5 of just adding to that drill. That's the first part I gave. So there's way more material. So I've gone so much further with the online training. I think people will be really happy with it when they see it. I'm hoping so.
Well, like we talked about, Mars Online training, we're taking it to the next level. First thing is to get everything that was missing and add to that. And, we projected what we're going to add on different phases. But, eventually down the road, we're going to have other martial artists in there, well known, that will be part of. If you're a member there and you're part of our annual subscription, then you'll be able to purchase other add-on courses, which, we're going to be at that 24-hour, candy store of martial arts. I mean, to be able to find almost anything you want.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're not telling people that we're doing, but in the future, there's going to be a lot of extras that come on to there and a lot of other perks of being part of that subscription.
Yeah.
So, and we don't want to give anything away that we can't promise, so we're being quiet about it. But between Larry, Cliff, yourself, and I, we've got a ton of things, little side projects we're working on that'll be kind of like, I guess, plugins to that. And I'm so tempted to spill the bean. This reminds me of the Mandalorian thing with Diana.
Yeah.
I had to shut up that thing for a whole year. When Diana was here and she had the staff and we were working on all the fight stuff, she and I, it was pre-COVID. So we were in the gym just working the stuff. And the funny thing is, I've had some students, they'd be visiting from other states or countries, and we're in there and they're like, "What are you doing?" "We're just working some stuff." They had no idea. And then later they're like, "I know what that is. I was there." In fact, a couple of them filmed stuff for us without knowing that they were filming for The Mandalorian. So, with this website, we've got some other surprises coming. You're going to have to just wait and be a part of it to see what we got going. I mean, I'm sure we'll advertise it, but it's not ending here. This is just the beginning with it. Especially, I'm so happy that I have you and Larry. I am. You guys are forcing me to go to other places I've never even thought of going. It's like I have my martial art material, and that's great and all. But where I kind of thought maybe I hit a pinnacle or a peak, you're like, no. We could do this too, and we'll go here. And I found at first I wanted to be a little resistant to you because I wasn't sure if we could meet those goals. But I found if I just shut up and just let you guys do your thing, it's getting there. So we're coming up with a good product, I think.
There's such a large amount of people that, in worldwide that does martial arts. So, you look at, I think in the United States, it's like 3.8 million. And I look about probably 30 maybe percent at least are adults. So there's a big market to bring, other people from other styles into it. So we're kind of opening that up also for, people maybe doing Taekwondo or Hapkido, or Jiu-Jitsu. We want to give them a little bit more full curriculum to be able to add on to what they already have. So, this is one of the things I talked to Ron about when I first came on, and Larry. So, these are things down the road. We're looking for people who even don't do martial arts. I mean, you know how many people out there probably would love to do martial arts, but they don't even know where to look for, and so we're going to be opening that up down the road too. So, anyone can come aboard and learn martial arts. That's our goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting there at some of the comments. Maybe today it's maybe people looking, but Hector Gonzalez just mentioned about you and I filming earlier, and he was talking about if you look at almost all fight scenes, they break the line, and he's correct. So if I go backtrack all the way to our first sentence, sorry about that, Hector. I just got to your comment now. Usually I have Larry on that. Now it's just spacing, but yeah, breaking the line is common during a fight, but it's okay to break the line in filmmaking when you can justify why you broke the line. But there's sometimes if you break the line, it could throw you completely out of the film. Meaning it's just, it disturbs the sense so much. You're just like, what? Wait, that didn't make sense. Just picture, you got to picture an imaginary like 180-degree line that goes through the center of your head or through the center of the scene. So if you have two people at a table and they're talking, there's that line. That if both of the people are in line, you got 180 degrees to film. But if you go unjump it, it makes the eye lines different. You have to know how to fix that. If you don't, you broke the line. And it could really, it's almost like I'm talking to a person over there, but then when the camera changes, I'm over here looking that way. And you're like, wait, is there another person in the room? It just throws people out. But in a fight scene, a lot of times you break the line because there's no way sometimes to stay in that 180-degree world. You've got to cross the line to get it. And that's justified. If you could justify a reason, that's it. So to me, that's filmmaking 101 for the day. Yeah. But that's my world versus your still photography world. I've got to know when I'm breaking the line or not.
Well, in still photography, I mean, we have rules basically. You have all the ways in composition. You have rules on lighting. You have all those rules, but we always say that it's okay to break the rules if you know the rules, right? But some people just get in there and they do all these things. Well, you got to justify why you're. So sometimes, you'll even posing. You don't cut off wrists and things that at the joints. That's a no-no. But sometimes if all of a sudden the expression of a person you capture it. Okay, so you broke the rule because it's the expression. So it really does. Sometimes it doesn't matter if it doesn't follow the rules because you got the moment. The most thing I think that you get is expression. If you can capture emotion and evoke feeling, then you sold it much more than trying to obey the rules of photography.
You want to know a heartbreak? We filmed Diana's movie that you were supposed to be in. That we should do a show just about you with that. I was
You keep saying that; it makes me feel bad every time we bring that up.
because I was supposed to see Diana's movie, The Sensei. Cliff, she wrote it with you in mind as the older brother, and he couldn't do it. And we have an amazing actor, Tim Lunavis, who's on Hawaii Five-O. He's on everything now, and he stepped in and he took your role. And I always go, Cliff, that's you. He's like, you know. But when we filmed the fight scene, the boxing scene, we had a crash cam. You know what a crash cam is? Like if you're going to do a car hit and it's a cam, they'll put it in a big steel box, but it's there in a way and it gets hit sometimes by the car and flips and whatever. Well, when we rented the cameras, we were broke. We did that movie on no budget. You know, it was almost like every day, we got enough to film another day. Then I would call every friend. I probably called you, Cliff. Can you give me some money? You know, just to try to make it through filming. And so when we went to Panavision, it was back in film days. It wasn't digital. We filmed it on Super 16. We couldn't even afford 35. And so they said, we have an extra cam, we'll let you use if you want. I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. But what I didn't know, it was a crash cam. So the viewfinder, when you're looking at it, there's a little mirror in there that reflects it into you're looking in. So if the camera tilted one way, the mirror was loose, it would move. So we're just in focus to what we were seeing through the viewfinder. And then we move the other way, it would tilt back, and then we get soft footage. You know what I mean? So when it came to we didn't have the money to watch dailies. So we're sitting there at editing bay and we're looking at the footage and we're heartbroken because so much of the fight and great scenes we lost because we had to film the camera tilted in a certain way and the mirror was off and everything was soft. All the footage. I almost wanted to put it in there soft. I go, no, we can't. It's just, so we had to rethink that whole fight. And when you watch the movie and you see Louis Mandela in the boxing scenes, that's not our vision really. That's our snip and glue and or tape everything into place just to make it tell the story. And it was so sad for us because we're broke and we were way too ambitious on the film. We had 30 locations, so there were 30 moves, company moves, which is crazy. Think of a movie like Clerks. It's one location the entire film. That means every night is a walk away. So meaning like if you have lights, everything, it says turn off the lights, let's go home for the night, and then come back, turn them on, you're gone. No, we're like, we're gonna film here, we'll film there, we'll film this. And we had this great town, Sterling, Colorado, that was totally accepting of us, and they gave us all this stuff for like one blanket permit fee. So we're like, we got the world, let's go. It was like having Warner Brothers backlot times 50. And we're thinking, we'll make the most of it. We're going to film here, we'll film there, we'll film there. Well, every night we're packing up and then we're setting up the next day. It was stupid. But, with that extra camera, we thought, oh, this is going to just make it because we could really, really go at this film with a different attitude. And what we're missing with this, we'll catch with this. And we, instead of us doing like a take care and then resetting the camera and getting it, for pickups on the other side, we thought we were getting it and we didn't get it. It was tough. It was pretty rough, but it's, like everybody who's a filmmaker has been through stuff like this. I'm sure you've been through stuff like this. It's we're lucky. We made it to the end and we got it distributed. And that's the way I always look at it, is the film got distribution. And Diana's won numerous awards. And quite honestly, I think she said it in our special, our Star Wars special, which everybody I'm hoping will go and watch. But evidently Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were hunting for a woman who knew martial art, who could act, instead of just taking an athlete and trying to teach her acting. And they stumbled upon Diana's name. They looked up and they seen the sensei. And I don't know if they watched the full movie, but I know that they at least watched the trailer. And that got Diana the role. So you never know what a little film could bring you. We didn't never made money on the sensei, but God, look what it gave her now. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the experience for you guys, to get out and film make, because
I'm because of it. It stressed the out of me. I love it, but when you don't have the money, all I was on a phone going, "Hey man, can you help us for tomorrow?" We got enough for tomorrow. And we'd film the next day, and I'd be back on the phone the next day. And part of the problem was we had we didn't go into it this way. I literally remortgaged my house to use that money to make a lot of sense. Our savings, and we got a loan. Then credit cards. So I racked up my credit cards, but we had a guy who was coming in with 50% of the budget. So as I rented the truck, had the cameras in it going from LA to Colorado, I had our producing partner, he's also my manager, calls this guy up and he goes, I rethought this. I'm going to need a bigger piece of the pie. And we're like, no, what are you talking about? And he started like muscling us. And he goes, well, I'm not going to do it. Like, well, we have a contract. He goes, well, sue me. He's in Germany. How am I going to go get him? This guy, So we had to abandon him, and just because we were so vested, I wasn't going to give away everything to this guy. He was asking for this gratuitous amount. He wanted the lion's share of everything. And he was only giving half of the money and no work. So I ended up saying, forget it. We're doing it on our own. And we started making calls and like skinning up everything where we can make it through that. And it got to the point where there were a lot of people who wanted in on the film. Hey Ron, could I be in? And they auditioned, everybody auditioned, and they were decent. And I didn't want to lose everybody. And I'm like, look, I want you, but I can't afford you. I'm gonna have to get somebody local out of Colorado. And they're like, well, what if I fly myself in and I'll put myself in a hotel? I'm like, if you want to do that, you could be in it. So they already bought tickets. They already were flying in. I can't just say film's done. I'd be out that money. My house would be mortgaged. I'd be in big trouble. So I went, okay, we're going to keep going. And I know these people invested their own money to get there. I'm looking at them as partial investors, which we gave everybody a small percentage ownership in the film because of what they did. And I just drudged forward, and every day was a phone call with somebody. And I had some amazing people, who came through and just said, and if you look, the list of names at the end of our movie, we gave everybody credit, and there was a lot of people. It was the hardest thing to do, selling the film, because when they say, all right, residual payments and royalties, where do they go? And we're naming all this stuff, and they're like, oh, that's too many. So we had to make like a small company, and that company distributed money to those investors. But it was tough. It was hard. And I would do it all again in a second. It's just because I love filmmaking, as do you. I know right now, if you had a project, Cliff, and if it was sketchy, you'd still drive for it. I hit the same thing with a movie called Sinners and Saints. We were in New Orleans filming, and I was the producer on it. And '08 happened in the whole financial thing, and we lost funding. And I just said, no, this is what we're going to do. And I took my lessons from the sensei and I brought it to Sinners and Saints. And I got us to the end on that because we didn't have the money to get to the conclusion of the film, or to finish filming it. And started calling up everybody, and we got people to donate money, or not donate. Nobody donated, but to be angel investors and get to the end of the movie. So it's I think, independent filmmaking 101. You're going to run into that, so it happens.
Well, and I think the world's changing with digital too, because, there's people now, like doing music videos with their cell phone, and really the quality. I mean, one of my friends, she did one of her, she's a country western singer. She did it, and they said, we filmed the entire thing on an iPhone. And I was like, wow, that is pretty amazing.
You do a lot. You could go 4K on an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but the only thing you don't have is a lot of lens manipulation.
Right.
Where your adjustments on racking and stuff like that, you lose that. But if you can plot it out, you could film you could probably do it all. You just be missing that element. And you know what it is? It's training viewers to look at what they're watching. Like, do you remember when digital first came in and film was going? I was so against it. I'm old school. I like celluloid and film, because there's a softness to it. Then I remember everybody started degrading their digital film to look like regular film because it's a softer look, more pleasant on the eye. But then we realized, oh no, newer people want that crisp, sharp edge. And that's why now everything's HD on TV, and it looks like people are literally cutouts, but it's a new viewer, a new eye, and a new way of looking at it. And I'm sure, like, if you look hard enough, I don't want to I'll give plugs on this. There's a company that if you're a filmmaker or aspiring filmmaker, go to Moment. Moment lenses and they have Moment apps. They're really good. If you look at my iPhone, it's set up for see those little like little cutouts. The lenses go right on. So I can go anamorphic. I can go with all different kind of lenses, fisheye, stuff like that, right on my iPhone. And then with their app, it complements their lenses. And I've gotten some amazing shots. I filmed some movie stuff off my iPhone that's, and the Seagal films were in Romania, but just for an extra camera, I put it on 4K and I put it on, and we've got extra shots that we've used that went into the movie, and we also filmed on Osmos, Osmos, it's another, just, I'll say prosumer device, instead of just a professional device. You can spend a couple bucks on it, but it's affordable. You have an Osmo, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll film 4K. Like a lot of them will accept the phone, but you have independent Osmos too that just will put an SD card in, and you can film 4K right on that, and you'll get your shot. And
Yeah, and it does, face tracking too. So if you're shooting video, my friend Joel Grimes, photographer, he's pretty well known. He's doing some of his stuff now out in the field, and he doesn't have anyone with him, so he just sets it up, and it follows him, and he does his whole tutorial outside like that.
Yeah, and it's FCC standards. It films in 4K, so you'll be able to upgrade it with the quality that they require. If you had, say, like you're doing a documentary film, that's acceptable. And I would say like you can accommodate like Rode mics and stuff like that onto it. But if you're doing action, a lot of times most of the sound you're doing is post anyway. It's not going to be right as you're doing it. A lot of it is ADR stuff. And
Well, I did that whole series on Tombstone, and I have I got a 60 megapixel camera, my Sony, and but I shoot big sometimes because if I want to, really do real large prints out of them, I can. Well, Russell Brown, he's called Dr. Brown. He's you can find him on Instagram, but he worked for Adobe, and I think he's retired from Adobe now, but he was pretty known in Adobe. But he does all his photography on the iPhone. So he has said, hey, I want you to see if you can set me up some stuff, some cowboys in Tombstone, because he wants to come out. So he does all these crazy projects with his iPhone, and amazing. The only drawback is, like I said, if you want to do large prints, you're kind of limited on that. But there's even now there's some strobes that you can control even through on your iPhone. So lighting, all that stuff, So it's really opening a lot of world to, I think, young filmmakers that want to get out there that can't afford the equipment. They're learning by having tools that don't have to cost as much money as, years ago to invest in it.
Well, no, I mean, you think about like our beginning of our film work, it was impossible. You had to put some money out to rent equipment to get it done. Nowadays, a simple phone that you carry in your pocket can get the job done. Obviously there's lighting and there's know-how and the do's and don'ts, just like we were talking about earlier, of what to do on your like bird photography when you get to rack a lens or just whip and pan to get the shot. If you don't know what you're doing, you can have an utter mess there. But even I would. But as a second unit director, the beauty of it is I got somebody who knows that thing better than I do. I have to have a common knowledge of it. But I could always just say, I want this. Can you give me it? And then if they say yes, then you run with it. If they can't, then you go, okay, contingency planning. You'll make that. And in a fight scene, it's it. And a lot of times, as I'm doing a fight scene, I'll like if I didn't have access to dailies and if I had this thing, even if we did the Sensei and I had a smartphone back then, which really weren't around, that would have been beautiful because I would have taped that thing right to the camera. That's how playbacks came about. Do you know Jerry Lewis invented playbacks? Jerry Lewis literally taped a video camera to Panavision cameras so he could watch playbacks. That's where playbacks came from.
Wow.
And so if you're filming now and you don't have access, get that phone right there because you can get a rough look of what you're doing if you're putting it in the same field of view, and it's just another problem solved with an ordinary cell phone. The projects I've been doing lately, man, phones are banned from set. You can't have them because they don't want any of that footage leaking out, the stuff that we're doing now. So I've had to be, like we just finished where I had 16 people come with me and we filmed something and I'm like, guys, phones got to go, can't have them. And, everybody accommodated, no problem to be on it, but people getting fired from sets now because footage leaked out. When Diana did Mandalorian, I think somebody got fired because they put a camera on set and they left, I think, a still photo out and they watch it. I was on Nickelodeon. I did a kid show called Kirby Buckets. And the kid from Kirby Buckets, if you see the new, what's the Ralph Macchio, Cobra Kai, the kid with the mohawk, the real crazy kid, he was the kid on Kirby Buckets. And he and I took a photo off set, not even on set, together, and I had posted it, and they came up almost minutes. They're like, "Hey, did you put this picture up?" I go, "Yeah, but it's not on set." They go, "We'd rather you not." And I go, "Okay," and I pulled it right away. But I thought for sure I wasn't violating anything. But they're really strict about that now, and I don't blame them, because it's their product. Maybe there's something that could be given away in the background, or maybe whatever. I know someone who got, I think he got fired from the original Batman, and not the original, but the one with Michael Keaton, because the Batmobile, he had taken a picture of it and let it out, and they're like, "You're gone, get out," So they don't want to give away the everything. You think of like Marvel, Disney, all the companies under it, the whole Lucasfilms, they're really strict. No filming. The other thing was Aaron Eckhart, when he was working with me for that I, Frankenstein movie, he was telling me how strict they were about Chris Nolan's Batman, The Dark Knight. He said a guy literally showed up at Aaron's house with the script. Aaron had to read the script with the guy sitting there with him, because they didn't want any copies. And he goes, "Yeah, they don't trust anybody. They didn't trust me. I had to read the script, done, here's the script," and he took it back and was gone. So, intellectual property can be ripped off so easy now. People are just, they have to be that close. God, I don't know how we got on that from everything we were talking about, but it's a conversation that's what brought us. But yeah, you got to be just careful in today's age. Everybody can snag an idea, snag something, or just give away a plot line because they want to show a picture of themselves.
Yeah. Or if you're just somewhere and you have a confrontation, someone may have their camera on you. So
you always have to assume you're being watched now.
Yeah.
And think of how many people. It's like even us doing this. We did the special with Diana, and if you look at it, I took a couple things out. Some things I said, some things other people said, because I don't want to give away anything. And or just dark humor, maybe stuff like that, or just inappropriate, what some people might feel. And I'm really trying to watch myself more on what I say, because I'm notorious for talking trash or saying something outrageous, and I'm like, I got to get a handle on that. So I'm really trying to watch my my P's and Q's. You know where that came from? P's and Q's, that term. Pints and quarts. From drinking. They go, watch your P's and Q's. That means you're talking too much, you're drinking too much. I just found that one out. I thought it was fun.
Loose lips sink ships. I mean, you get little alcohol in you, huh?
Yeah. So those little known facts. Watch your P's and Q's, or watch your pints and quarts. It's a drinking term. You're drinking too much, you talk too much, shut up. So filmmaking is great. It would be cool. I'd love to do future episodes and maybe have some filmmakers on and just talk about experiences and stuff like that, and try to educate people to that. That'd be kind of a cool little thing for us to do. So
I've been bugging you to find out about because I like there's a cast member on Warrior that I really like. And
I got a couple friends who are cast members on Warrior.
Yeah.
And I've not reached out to them yet. Like Jason Tobin's one of them. I've got a few other friends, and the stunt coordinator is a personal friend of mine also. It'd be kind of cool to have. Maybe we can do something where we get 2 or 3 of them on at once.
Yeah, I love that show. Man, that show is just. I mean, the cinematography, the costume, the acting, the fight scenes. It's just an amazing show. I love it.
Where are we? Can I pull up one more film for you?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to show you. I did something for Warrior, and it wasn't the live show. Hang on, I'm going to pull this up right now. I know I'm not ready for you, but let me just go to this. I think it'll be fun for people to see. This is a section. I'll set it up while I'm pulling it up. This was a section I pulled up from. I got called, and they said, "Would you like to work a section of Warrior for a live performance?" I'm like, a live performance. And what it was is they had the full cast, not the full cast, a lot of the cast and the producers from Cinemax, the original Cinemax, everything. And let me get to it. I'm right here for you. I just gotta make sure I'm pulling up the right video.
For a sound, you'll find them here. Is that so? Let us through!
We're just trying to be civil here. Come on. You let us through, we'll peel you like an orange.
Oh, I'd like to see you try.
All right. Break it up. There's put any gun in this car, all right?
All right.
I hope you do find us out! He'll peel you like an orange before you can scream his name!
What? What? Say fucking kill him!
Kill him! Come on, kick his ass!
I see a little sea lion in there too, Ron.
Yeah. So you got to understand, it's a live show. I couldn't make them put fists on each other, and they're brothers, you know. So we just kind of ran with it, you know, and did it. But it was a big hit. Everybody loved it because they didn't expect it. Did you notice that it was Shannon Lee who broke the bottle over the back of his head?
Well, I looked at. I thought that was her when she was coming in with them. Yeah.
It was great because I had said, "Oh, I want Shannon to break the bottle," and they're like, "No," you know, the producers. And then I go, "Hey, Diana, give Shannon a call." Diana called. She goes, "Shannon, would you break a bottle over his head?" And she's like, "Sure, I would." So they couldn't say no because she's a producer. You know, they were going to nix it, and it was really great because Shannon's like, "I'd love to." So when Henry and Mark were out there fighting, I just gave her the bottle. She went over and whacked it over his head, and the crowd, you know, that was like the talk of it. They're like, "You were in on it," you know. They were really excited that she had taken place, you know, or taken place in the fight. So it was fun. It was a goofy night, and it kind of made the night like, you know, it was this Hollywood night kind of, and everybody was like in a vibe. But once the fight happened, it got electric for a while. So it really magnified everything. It was a good night.
Yeah, I met Mark and Anthony when I came down to the camp, and I photographed them. They're both very photogenic. Yeah. I did their dramatic portraits. Those two guys, yeah, they look pretty good. Yeah.
They just filmed with me a couple of weeks ago on another project. So they're good guys. They're talented too. So yeah. All right, hey brother, I think we are at our end of our next session. So want to conclude with anything?
Nope. Larry's out camping this weekend, right? He's out in the boot. I tried to call him. I couldn't even get a hold of him. So wherever he's at, he doesn't even have cell service.
We didn't mention Larry, so we should have mentioned him. Larry is out this week, as you know. It was really late. but yeah, he's been sending me photos. I think you too.
Yeah.
In Utah somewhere, some state park is really beautiful. So good on him. I think I don't know if they're, he had us to teach somewhere. And then after that, I think they just took some time to go on trails. So it's all great. So, all right. So next week we are on. So everybody, thanks for coming. And Cliff, brother, I'll talk to you during the week.
Right. Thanks. And we'll see you then. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.